There are 4 basic roles of salespeople, and this is an area where we'll talk. I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about it here or next time. I've been screwing around with things. With sales, ideally, you want the salesperson to spend as much time working with the customer selling and as little time doing all of the other stuff that salespeople have to do, paperwork especially, because paperwork isn't necessarily productive. And the primary role of a salesperson is to create transactions. That's what sales is. And performance-based compensation is usually based on the transaction. There are situations where the primary goal isn't to create immediate transactions, although there's an emphasis on selling. And that's called missionary sales. And missionary sales works in areas where there's an indirect link between the salesperson and the end user. For example, I see regularly textbook representatives who are trying to sell me textbooks. I don't buy textbooks. So they're coming to me and they're showing me all of these wonderful textbooks. I have to say yes, and then you buy the textbook. So the sales, the rep can't, check in, oh, I sold 500 books today. All they can do is, I made a presentation, I made a case, I hope that that person eventually adopts. Similarly in pharmaceutical sales. If I have a life-saving cancer drug, I just can't go buy one, get one free. You got somebody who's dying of cancer right now? So you just have to lay the groundwork so that when the situation arises for the use of the product, the customer knows that it's available. Another role is new customer development. And this is one of the areas where 100% commission is not a good compensation structure. Let's just say this in words that people can understand. That when you're developing new customers, you have to make some upfront investment in building the relationship and developing the trust, and it may be a while before you get an order, and it may be even longer while before you get a significant order. A lot of times people will put a test order out there, and if I'm on 100% commission, it's not in my immediate interest to develop long-term relationships because they're not paying me right now. So part of the compensation structure needs to take into account encouraging people to develop new accounts because that's in their best interest. Another issue is customer support. And again, especially in business to business, so when I bought those 100 stools and they didn't sell, that's a problem for both of us. Not just a problem for I'm a better salesperson than you're a merchant, I just love that. I win, you lose. Yeah. But just to deal with complaints, and again, with the consultative selling process is you need to understand the customer's business almost as well as the customer understands their business to identify areas where you can make a difference. And you need to be able to notice where your product or your solution is maybe hurting their business, and let's stop that and fix it because they notice it too. And if you notice it first and attempt to fix it, it's a whole lot, builds a lot more trust, builds a lot, strengthens the relationship than getting caught. You know what I mean? And then the last role of the salespeople is market research. We had talked that when we talked about market research, and later when we talk about forecasting, polling the sales force is a great way of developing a sales forecast because who knows what's going on with the customers? Our salespeople are out there every day talking to people, hearing why this product's better, hearing what the problems are, hearing what the successes are. They're very close to what's going on with the customer and can be a very good source of information about customers as well as competitors. When we were with the table pad folks, we would always have at least 2 suppliers for the product, even though we were only buying from one, because the one person was supplying our raw materials, and we'd invite the other salesperson in who is selling to our competitor, and just might get a sense as to what's hot with our competitor, or always looking for information.